Hello, everyone, and welcome to this year's webinar on the application tips for the CLS program. My name is Josie Krieger, and I'm the Communications Officer for the Critical Language Scholarship. I'm excited to speak with you today and help you navigate the application process. Before we dive into the details, let's go over what we'll be covering today. We'll start with a quick overview of the application. Then we'll take a deeper look at the essays, focusing on how you can best prepare a strong application. Afterward, we'll give you a peek behind the curtain to show you what happens after you hit submit. Let's begin by talking about the structure of the application itself. While it might be tempting to think of it as just a few essays, there's a little more to it than that. The application for the CLS program consists of 12 sections. Some of these sections are just for you to read and make sure you understand the program in its entirety. Others require you spend a bit more time reflecting and completing thoughtfully. Make sure you use the detailed instructions on the sign-in page of the application to help you manage your time and work through these sections. It's designed to guide you step by step. With the structure in mind, let's turn to the essays, your opportunity to thoughtfully engage with each prompt. There are 3 short answer essays with a 300-word limit each and a personal statement with a 500-word limit. Each essay gives you a chance to share more about yourself, your experiences, your goals, and your perspective, all in response to the specific prompts. In the first short answer essay, you will be discussing commitment to language study. You'll need to show how CLS fits into your journey of learning your target language and what steps you plan to take beyond the program to continue your learning. Even if you've had limited opportunities to study the language, reflect on how you've tried to engage with it and what you plan to do next. Let's break this prompt down, section by section. First, reflect on the origins of your interest in this language. Is there a particular experience, person, or moment that sparked your interest in this language and culture? How has that initial spark evolved over time? How do you envision engaging with this language and culture will enrich your academic or professional life? Next, have you encountered any barriers in your language journey, such as limited resources or financial constraints? If so, how did you work around these challenges, and what did you learn from that experience? Then, think about why the CLS program feels like the right next step for you. What unique opportunities does CLS offer that you couldn't find elsewhere? And finally, looking beyond CLS, what concrete steps do you plan to take to keep building on your language skills? Be creative, whether this means exploring online resources, joining conversation groups, traveling, or finding ways to use the language professionally. In the second short answer essay, you'll talk about your preparation for the CLS program. Studying abroad can be challenging, so we want to hear about how you plan to handle those challenges and align with our program's expectations. Let's dive into the first few questions that might help you reflect on how to prepare for this experience. First, think about any fears or uncertainties you may have about living in a foreign country and studying a new language intensively. What specifically about living and learning intensively with the same cohort of peers from across the United States, this means spending 4 to 6 hours daily in class together, navigating cultural adjustments as a group, and sharing close quarters, might be challenging for you? How does this differ from typical group projects or classroom settings you've experienced? Then reflect on the specific skills or experiences you already have that could help you navigate these challenges. How are they similar or different to the CLS program structure? What skills, such as teamwork, communication, or adaptability, can you draw on? Finally, we expect participants to align with the program's values and expectations. Reflect on a time you interacted with people whose beliefs, backgrounds, or values differed from your own. How did you navigate that situation? What did you learn about yourself and others through the experience? In your final essay, you'll be writing about citizen diplomacy and national impact. This means reflecting on how you see yourself representing the US as a citizen diplomat in your host country and how you will apply your newfound knowledge when you return to the US. If the concepts of citizen diplomacy or national impact seem a little out of reach, let's consider a few guiding questions that may help you tap into some of your unique experiences and perspectives. First, think about moments in your life where you've represented a group, bridged different communities, or navigated cross-cultural situations. What lessons from these experiences will help you represent the complexity of an American culture abroad? Next, what knowledge about your host culture and community do you believe is important or valuable for your community back home? And why does it matter that you share this understanding? And finally, what concrete actions will you take upon your return to share what you've learned through presentations, mentorship, community engagement, advocacy, or other means? And how will you ensure this knowledge creates a lasting impact? And now let's talk about the personal statement. This is really your space to connect your language learning journey to your academic and professional goals. If there's something you feel is important for reviewers to know about that you haven't mentioned elsewhere, this is your chance to include it. When writing your personal statement, start by reflecting on your goals. What do you hope to study or achieve academically in the near future? What kind of work or career are you aiming to pursue? Think about the experiences, interests, or values that have guided you toward this path. Are there any challenges or uncertainties you're facing as you work towards these goals? Next, consider your potential impact within the United States. Are there communities in the US that speak your target language or share cultural ties with the region you're studying? Maybe there are local organizations, schools, or workplaces where your language and cultural knowledge should help build stronger connections, improve communication, or support others. How might you use what you learned to give back or get involved? Finally, think about what you uniquely bring to the CLS program. How will your participation help advance broader goals such as building bridges between the US and your target language region, foster innovation, or promote mutual understanding? This is your opportunity to share your story. CLS wants to hear about your journey, so let your experiences and aspirations shine through. We want to point out that there's a small disclaimer cautioning you against the use of generative AI. Using AI to generate content for your essays may hinder this process and make it difficult for reviewers to assess your fit for the program. Likewise, using materials from previous applications to CLS or other opportunities may be a helpful starting point in the writing process, but ultimately evaluators are looking to understand your goals and interest in the present moment. Please review resources on the CLS website before you start your essays. Now that we've gone over the essays, let's talk about some general strategies for strengthening your essays. First, align your application with the program's goals. First, remember to make sure that your application reflects the mission of the CLS program. Focus on key elements like intercultural competence, your passion for language learning, and how these connect with the broader goals of the program, namely citizen diplomacy and national impact. You want to clearly show how you fit with what the program is looking for in its applicants. Second, showcase transferable experiences. It's common to feel uncertain if you're a first-year student or if you're applying to study a language you haven't learned before. However, your other experiences can still demonstrate your readiness. For example, if you succeeded in a tough science course, learned a new skill, or taken on leadership roles in extracurriculars, these show skills like adaptability, problem solving, and persistence, which are crucial for language learning. For example, if you balanced a heavy course load with activities, that's a great example of time management. Or if you've taught yourself how to code, play an instrument, or master a craft like cooking, that's a great example of self-directed learning. Reflect on these experiences and show how skills like perseverance, adaptability, and attention to detail can be applied to learning a new language. Third, express your commitment to learning a new language. If you're applying to study a language you've never learned before, it's important to explain why you're committed to this new challenge. What sparked your interest? Is it tied to your career plans, love for a particular culture, or intellectual curiosity? Mention any steps you've already taken, no matter how small, like using online resources, attending cultural events, or enrolling in an introductory course. These actions show you have an active desire to learn, that you're serious about the language and ready to take on the challenge. Now that we've covered how to build a strong application, let's talk a little bit about the selection process. The selection process for the CLS program takes place between November and February and involves 2 rounds of careful interview. You'll hear from us in late January when semi-finalists are announced, and again in early March when finalists are announced. Reviewers come from a range of backgrounds, including language faculty, area specialists, study abroad professionals, fellowship advisors, and CLS alumni. They all bring unique perspectives to the process, which means your application will be evaluated from multiple angles. One important thing to keep in mind: the reviewers may not be familiar with your specific field of study or the language you're applying for. This means it's crucial that you explain your interests, experiences, and goals in a way that's clear to people outside of your area. Make sure your application is accessible to somebody who might not have the same specialized knowledge, and focus on how your experiences and goals connect with the broader objectives of the CLS program. If you have a CLS advisor on your campus, they can be an excellent resource for feedback. Many of them have served as evaluators, so they know what makes a strong application. That brings us to the end of the 2026 Application Tips webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you now feel more confident and ready to tackle your application for the CLS program. Before I end this presentation, I want to leave you with one final reminder. The application deadline is Tuesday, November 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We highly recommend giving yourself plenty of time to review and submit your application to avoid any last-minute technology issues. Don't let the deadline sneak up on you. Lastly, please remember our team is here to help. And if you have a CLS advisor on campus, they can be an excellent resource as you finalize your application. Thank you for watching.